Family Pet Nanny, thanks for watching. I hope you and your fur babies are doing well. I've been a little busy with some returning clients recently as well as some new clients, so I'm happy about that. I wanted to touch on the subject of emotional support animals and work dogs. I've recently been doing some research, and I actually spoke with a rep from the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and wanted some clarification on some things that I had been reading about on their website. And it turns out that um, if you have an emotional support dog, or you'd like to certify your current animal as an emotional support animal or work dog, there are some things that you need to do, but it wouldn't be as difficult as you would think, in my opinion, so far from what I have found out recently with the help of the ADA. So if you want to get an animal that is a work dog, I mean, if you really have an impairment, like you are in a wheelchair or have diabetes, these kinds of things where you need the animal to be trained to know when your insulin is low, or trained to open a door for you, fetch certain things for you, then you definitely need to have your animal trained, and it's a certification process with training. So that is one way to do that. There is also an emotional support dog, which has kind of a bad stigma. Unfortunately, it's become a trend for people to do this through random websites just to be able to take their dog into public places. Um, and I know that it's a growing trend. People want to take their animals everywhere. I do too. I want to take Chachi everywhere. Luckily, we live in a small town who's trying to stay with it and legalize being able to bring your pets onto patios and decks in public places where they can, in fact, join you for lunch or dinner, or maybe in a live music venue. I'm not sure about the rules here in San Marcos just yet, but it is a work in progress, and I believe the act is called Dining with Dogs. But aside from that, if you have an animal that you would like to certify as an emotional support animal, or you're thinking about getting one for yourself or a loved one, it can be as simple as having a doctor write a note for you, a prescription of sorts. Um, you have to be under the care of a psychologist or psychiatrist, or just your primary care doctor can also do this, stating that, said animal is your emotional support for whatever your ailment is. And, it's not, yes, you're going to have a letter written, and that's wonderful. So when you get that done, see if you can't maybe downsize that to see if you can get a card that you can carry, because carrying around a full-length letter, 8 by 11 piece of paper, can be a little annoying, and it can probably get destroyed over time. So look into that. And if you have also, I guess what I wanted to say about the emotional support animals, people say, "Oh, that's ridiculous. You're going to depend on your dog to reduce your anxiety." I have to say, in defense of those people, everybody knows that my dog Chachi, I love him, and he's always with me, and I take him on jobs if the temperaments allow. Chachi is very useful for my stress levels. If I'm upset about something, it's a proven fact. Just petting an animal calms you down. So it stands to reason that they do, in fact, help you rid you of your anxiety attacks, bring you down a little bit, calm you down. So I think it's a legitimate thing, and it's a great service that our animals provide for us naturally. But if you really have a serious issue with emotional problems or anxiety, then I would look into having them be your official emotional support animal. And according to the ADA, not only, let's say for instance you have an emotional support animal that you're going to be certifying because you want them, for to stop anxiety attacks. Well, not only are they considered an emotional support animal, but they are also considered a work dog. If they can prevent you from having an anxiety attack, or slow it down, stop it, then they are in fact a work dog. They are providing a service, because anxiety attacks are nothing to play with. I mean, sometimes it could just be a huffing and puffing of the chest. Sometimes it could be a dizzy spell. Sometimes it can feel like a full-on heart attack, when in fact it is just an anxiety attack. I've known people who have anxiety attacks while driving, and it is dangerous because they will let go of the wheel, they will panic, and cause obstructions and possibly accidents, God forbid. But, anxiety attacks, unless treated and dealt with, can be pretty dangerous, especially if they're behind the wheel. So, I would look into that and advise your primary care doctor or your psychologist or psychiatrist to look into that for you as well and confirm that. And it can be as simple, like I said, as just writing a letter stating that, so and so is under my care and they have this animal, said animal, to help relieve anxiety and for emotional support, whatnot. So then, if you want to go on to one of those cheesy little sites that has you buy a little jacket for your dog or a card, uh, from what I've discovered through the ADA, those are just bells and whistles. And really, if you want to walk into a Walmart with your emotional support animal or your work dog, they don't necessarily need that vest. And there's only so many questions people can ask you about them, about your animal. So all you really need is your doctor's note. Now, obviously, there are people with serious disabilities, such as, not to belittle anxiety, because I have that too. But there are obvious people, who are missing limbs, who are blind, who are deaf, and they have their work dog in tow in a vest, and that's fine. Nobody's going to question that. But, if you have just a dog on your arm and you seem to be fine, quote unquote, people are going to look at you cross-eyed and go, "Why are you bringing that dog in here? I don't understand. Leave him at home." But anxiety is not something you can see on somebody's face, up front. Anxiety, from my own experience, anxiety attacks can just, that's what it is. It's an attack. You're feeling fine, you're having a good day, and all of a sudden your heart starts palpitating and you're short of breath and you're panicking. You have no idea why. You're getting dizzy. And at that moment, you cannot think of a direct cause as to why that's happening. And that is, in fact, an anxiety attack. Your nerves are overworked and they just kind of spasm out on themselves, on their own, and without warning. It's not like, "Oh, I feel an anxiety attack coming on." Oh, no, doesn't happen like that. It just happens. And it can happen when you're sitting on your couch and relaxing. Believe me, it's happened to me. So, not to belittle anxiety, but like I said, people are, out there are not going to understand why you look like you can walk and talk just fine. There's nothing visibly wrong with you. Why are you bringing that dog into this public place? So that's when you need that doctor's note. That's more when that applies. Like I said, obviously there's people out there who have obvious disabilities and nobody's going to question the fact that they have a work dog in tow. But if you have an emotional support animal, and they stop your anxiety attacks, or that they can, then a letter is going to be your best bet from a doctor. And you don't have to have all the bells and whistles, make them look official, as long as you have that note. And really, emotional support animals don't need any kind of training. Of course, it's good to get basic training for your animal anyway, so that they'll come when called, things like this. Understand basic commands. But they do not need to go to any support academy. Emotional support animals are just that. They support you emotionally, they help calm you down. Just their mere presence makes you feel at ease. And these are what these types of ailments need, and these kinds of people that suffer from these ailments need. So I would look into that. Call the ADA for yourself. Research their website, ada.org, Americans with Disabilities Act. Ask your primary care provider. If you're under the care of a psychiatrist, psychologist, or considering it, look those people up in your area, talk to them about that, bring up the subject. Most doctors in that field, in the psychiatry and psychology field, should be familiar with the benefits of having animals in your life to aid with certain disabilities. And according to the ADA, what they define as a disability is somebody who has a physical or mental impairment that stops them from from doing or participating in one or more major life activities. And they also state that they also consider those who have a record of having physical or mental impairments, even though they may not currently possess those impairments. So, if you have a history of anxiety or emotional problems, even though you're not currently displaying it, that is considered under the term disabled. And to be clear, it says that disability, the term disability or disabled is not necessarily a medical term, it is more a legal term. So therefore, that is why, uh, you know, the man next door in the wheelchair, or, the guy on the street that you see that is visually impaired, is also under the same category as somebody like me who has anxiety attacks. Because it can really be debilitating in one or more areas of life if not controlled and dealt with in every way possible. You know, homeopathic, whether you need to take a pill, massage, learn Tai Chi, exercise more, get a counselor. So when these things go unchecked, they can be as severe. So look into that, and I just thought you would like to know out there, if you're considering doing this for yourself or a loved one, that animals are a blessing, and it's finally being recognized by the medical profession, and it's a blessing because they really are, along with cats, of course, but dogs really are man's best friend, and they serve multiple purposes. They are priceless and indispensable. They are wonderful, and this is just one more way that they are helping us be better people. So be kind to your animals. Be kind to that stray on the street, because you never know what kind of gift they can bring into your life, whether it's calming you down on the road, or in a public situation, or helping you be your eyes, be your guide, or just being there to give you a hug when you need it. So hug your babies and be kind to animals. And I will see you again later. I'm going to get back to my client, Willie. He's out in the garden playing with Chachi, so I'm going to go catch up with those two rascals. Have a great day, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Take care.